Hello everyone, it's Kari and I have a weird birthday card today to share. This time sharing some of these cute little critters from Heffy Doodle. I think you're going to love it too. And I'm also going to show you how to make your sentiment absolutely shine using some embossing powders. Now I'm starting out choosing some stencils that I think I might want to use here from Heffy Doodle. I've got these ones here and I know that I'm going to use the plaid stencil. This is the Highlander stencil. And then I'm also going to use this other new stencil. And so let's get started with the stenciling. For this first one, I've got the stencil and I'm going to attach it to my grip mat here. And then I'm going to stencil on some dark blue ink. This is Uncharted Mariner. I like to keep the bottom piece of acetate on my grip mat so I can move it around, and especially for a stencil like this, it makes it so much easier to ink on your color. So there's our first panel, and now I'm going to shift this stencil just a little bit and add another color. I end up going with a lighter blue, choosing some speckled egg here, and I'm going to just go ahead and quickly ink that on, turning my grip mat when I need to. And that really helps to keep this stencil in place. And I'll just add a little extra around the edges as well. So there's our first panel. Now I'm going to go ahead and ink on our second panel with the plaid Highlander stencil. And this time I'm going to use some black soot. So I'll ink that on very quickly, just like this. I especially love using blending brushes with stencils because it's easy to get into all the little nooks and crannies. And there's our stenciled background. For this one, I'm going to use it to cut out our die. And so this will create a really fun look. Wait until you see though how it turns out. This is the It's Your Day die and shadow, and it's perfect for this particular birthday card. It's a little bit crazy here at first, so don't worry, because I am going to add a little bit of this hickory smoke to the background to kind of tone it down. And when we add it to a white shadow piece, it really will pop off this background. So see that? That's going to be very fun and very cute for our card, especially with all of these little critters. These are the little critters from the Your Weird stamp set. And I'm using some alcohol ink friendly cardstock from Heffy Doodle to do my coloring. This cardstock really blends very smooth, and it really helps those colors to blend on the paper as well. So if you are having a hard time with your blending of your alcohol ink markers, then give this paper a try and see how it changes your coloring. I'm going to color up a couple of these critters on screen for you. I've just chosen some greens and some purples to color up our little critters. And these are just the light shades of green here. I think I have YG05, YG03, and YG01 to blend these through. And I like to color them all completely through at first, and then I will go in and add some darker shades of those greens to really give it some dimension and make it really pop. So I'm blending that through, and then you'll see I'm adding some darker greens along the edge and going back through all of the colors and blending that even more. So there's our first little critter. Now I'm going to color up one of the purple critters for you. These are the BV colors, BV08, BV04, and BV02. I think this little critter right here that I'm coloring might be my favorite out of the bunch. I love how he turned out, and I think he looks cute in every color. You'll see I color up a purple one and a green one of each one of these little guys, and he just looks so lovable and happy and cute. He reminds me a little of a Squishmallow. So I have birthdays on my mind. My husband just had a birthday. So this is a really fun birthday card to add to your collection. And here's my last little guy that I'm coloring up. And what I'm going to do is just trim them into little strips so I can use my Heffy Doodle mini die cutting machine that I absolutely love. I keep this close by, right next to my desk, and I'll use some Heffy tape to tape on those coordinating dies, and then I can run it right through my die cut machine. This Heffy tape is like a low tack paper tape, and what I love about it is you can use it on your die cuts, and it's not going to rip your paper or your colored image below. I hate to spend all the time coloring an image and then cut it out using regular tape, and then it rips my image. So this Heffy tape will not do that. It is very light tack and easy on colored images. So you can see how simple it is to run this right through using those cutting plates that come with the mini die cutting machine. And I'll go ahead and cut all of these little critters out. Look how cute they are. These are going to be really fun to add around our sentiment. So there's our first set. I'll die cut the second set out. There's our little purple guy and the rest of those cute little aliens. Aren't they fun? So let's start putting our card together. I am going to use the rest of that plaid panel behind the first panel to create kind of a mat. And I'm just additioning those critters around the sentiment to see who belongs where. I'm just testing it out just to make sure this is going to work. And I'm also going to add another stamped sentiment to this card as well. So just want to make sure I have enough room for everything that I want to do. I have cut out a couple extra of these It's Your Day sentiments because I want to build that up and give it some more dimension. But before we put it all together, I'm going to add some of that shine to our plaid one. In order to do this, I need to create kind of a handle for me to hold it. And so I'm using my Nuvo glue pen. This is a glue pen that will dry tacky. And you want to let it dry. Make sure it's just tacky. You can use any glue that you have that dries kind of tacky like this. And then attach it to that handle. And now I'll take some VersaMark sticky ink to create a sticky place for that clear embossing powder to go. I'm going to add that all over the front of this sentiment. Then when I heat it up, it's going to create a shiny element for us. I am going to do this a number of times because the first time that I added the embossing powder, it created kind of some dimple marks, for lack of a better term, but just some marks in there that I wanted it to be a little more smooth. So if you let that dry, add some more of the sticky ink and more of the embossing powder, you can keep adding layers and layers and create a clear, beautiful, shiny embellishment. So I added, I think, about 3 layers. You can add as many as you would like, but I thought the 3-layer mark really added what I was looking for. If you add even more, it will create even more of a shiny element. It's really fun. And then once you're done adding all of those layers, you can just remove it from the little handle. I'm going to skip over this part, but I just wanted to show you I added one more layer here and then let it heat set. I let it dry just a little bit before removing it from that little handle. And it comes off pretty easily as long as you let that dry tacky, so you're not sticking it on or gluing it on while the glue is still wet. As long as you let it dry tacky, then it'll come right off. And if you do have any issues with it coming off, just add a little more heat to it and it should release. So there is what our sentiment is going to look like. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this all together. I did want to cut this down first. So I did cut this down just a little bit so that the plaid mat around it would show. So I cut all around that center and then I glued that to the plaid piece just like this, and then I'll go ahead and add the sentiment. I think having a little bit of a crazy background and then a plaid mat is kind of fun, especially when you're creating a weird birthday card. So you can see that little guy's going to be glued right to the center. So I glued him underneath the It's Your Day and between the shadow piece. And now I'm going to quickly glue on these other little critters so I can slide them right underneath the sentiment. You might be able to see that I have a stamp down there in the right lower corner. That's the stamp I chose from the Your Weird stamp set. It says You're Weird, I love it. That's what I'm going to stamp directly onto this card panel as well. I decided to go ahead and use some black ink to do this because that'll kind of match some of our elements here, especially the sentiment. So I stamped it a couple of times with VersaFine Onyx black ink, and we'll let that dry completely and add this whole thing to the card base, just gluing it on just like that. And not a piece of this plaid panel was wasted because we did cut out the sentiment from that panel and then we used it as the matte layer as well. So I love being able to use all the pieces and put it together and see, you can see that shine on our sentiment. I think it really adds a little something to this card, and those little critters are super cute and happy. And there's the You're Weird, I love it sentiment. Very fun. I hope you did enjoy this video today and the card process. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up because that really does help us out with YouTube. And I'll be back real soon with more cards to share. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.